Hello, I'm Chris Rhodes, Handgun Hunting Afield, retired owner of Bayside Custom Gunworks, coming to you from the man cave or the gun room. Since it's wonderful windy Wyoming outside, we want to make sure everyone could hear what we're talking about today. This video is in response to all the common questions I get about handgun hunting throughout the year. In this video, we're going to go over the gear I commonly carry in the field. We're also going to go over my method of practice and what I find necessary to keep me proficient for shooting in the field throughout the year. And we're also going to go over the field shooting method I've developed as far as using supports and bags in the field and why. I hope you find this video informative and I hope it helps you be more successful this year in the field. Alright, so now we're going to go over the gear I wear on my body when I'm handgun hunting. This isn't going to include my clothing or boots or pack or stuff inside the pack. It's just the gear worn right on me that I take with me all the time, no matter how I'm hunting with a handgun. So first off in that is what's supporting your primary hunting firearm. When I handgun hunt, a lot of times I do the two-gun system, which means I'll have my revolver for most of my hunting because that's what I primarily use. And I'll probably have a single shot in my pack. But we're going to focus on this system here, on just the revolver, because that's what I'm going to use primarily. So Nixon Leather designed this shoulder rig, and I gave a few tweaks along the way, but it's pretty much all his design. It supports the gun well. Some key points when looking at shoulder systems is the thickness of the shoulder strap up top. Alright, it's got to be thin so it'll fit underneath a heavy pack when you're packing out animals and such, or just carrying your load into the woods. It's got to be thin. It also needs to be broad so to support the weight of the handgun. I can carry a Smith & Wesson 460 in this without a problem, just by changing out the holster. The other thing I like is for it not to cover the optic. If it covers the optic, it makes a long tunneling effect on the holster, and the draw is much more exaggerated coming up to clear that extra leather or kydex or whatever it may be. For this being open top, all I have to do is barely pull up and roll away. Alright, and the gun comes out. Also a big advantage here in this design is there's a single clip in the front. If I need to swim out of this harness, say to crawl really low to get through some sagebrush on the stalk or whatever else, one clip I can undo this and it'll literally slide right off of me. And my binos will stay on me in place when I do so. Alright. So now that we have this open top holster, the next thing we got to add is protection for our optic. All right, with the gun being center chest, it protects it more than it does when it's on a hip or something like that. If it's on your hip, it's going to get beat on the brush as you go through. Also, it's going to be affected by your pack belt, and your pack belt's not going to support properly if you're strapping down across a hip belt or hip holster. So on my chest, I also use a scope coat. This keeps all the moisture off my optic. These are neoprene. You get them from Century Tactical. Just if you Google scope coat, they'll pop up. They're pretty inexpensive neoprene stuff. You see, they come with every maker's optic out there. You can buy them to fit whatever optic you want. They come in all kinds of sizes. So that protects your optic. It's really easy to get off. You can just stuff it in the pocket when you need to take it off. All right. And that'll protect your optic through all the conditions out there, and it keeps the snow and the rain and all that stuff off of lenses, and it keeps you from beating it up and keeps the debris out of there. My next big thing, I've tried a lot of little bags, and we'll go over how I use this bag later on in the video. Coltac Biddy bag is the lightest and most versatile bag I've found. This bag is made out of a ballistic nylon and is filled with like an air-filled bead in here, where some other ones will have a solid bead. They're very heavy. This one also has a Velcro seam on it, so when I first get it, I can adjust the fill in it the way I want, and then do the nature of the way a handgun works, and then they recoil, they'll actually open that Velcro, so I'll just take super glue after I adjust the bag, and I'll super glue that seam so it won't open again. Cheap Amazon clip here to hold it. That's all I need there. That little bag does a lot for me. I use these a lot. It's my most commonly carried field rest. All right, going on from there, I just use a little FHF gear rangefinder pouch. Inside that, I use a Leica. Leica is the fastest rangefinder I've found, and I like it to be independent from my binoculars. So once again, if I'm stalking and I need to leave things behind to trim it out, I can just take this. All right, a very fast rangefinder. I also attach my revolver's drop info right to the side of it. And these are just laminate sheets from 3M that you can get at Walmart and print it out, and it's just zip tied there. This lanyard is one of these stretchy lanyards. It's off eBay, like a $10 item. It's also held by a clip here, so once again, if I drop this harness and all and I need to just put this in my pocket, I can unclip it and drop it in my pocket. Very simple, very good optic, very, very fast. And what I mean by fast is the slower rangefinders, when you pick them up in range stuff, you have to hold that thing really steady for it to get time for the laser to get there and bounce back. In this one, it's just instantaneous. I can go as far as I need to go, about 500 yards or so, without having to have support for the rangefinder to get good accurate readings. There's just nothing that beats a Leica in there. Then for my binos, I wear my binos cross-body because obviously there's no room for a chest bino rig, and they just get in the way anyways. They're a big funnel for debris and trash, and they would be in the way of my gun. So I wear these cross-body. I wear them up high. They're up in my armpit. It's adjusted so when I bring these up in front of my eyes, that the strap actually provides some support, some tension, so I can hold them more steady in glass. It allows me to glass one-handed if I need to, or just when I'm glassing extended periods of time, if I sit down and put my elbows on my knees, I'm more stable pulling that strap into my back and shoulders. This is also a cover made by Century Tactical or Scope Coat. It protects my binos well. They're covered almost all the way around. All the critical parts are covered for if I crawl with them. Great product. And I'm using Swarovskis because when you're hunting the West and you're looking at distance, just nothing tops them. I mean, it's just, if you're going to buy glass, just go all the way and get it done. But there's lots of less expensive brands that do well. But I mean, I'm out here all the time. I live in glass, so I want to have the best glass I can. So that's the basic gear I carry on my person that I always have with me. Sometimes, depending on where I'm hunting, I'll have maybe an additional 6 rounds on the side of my harness here. As I said, my single shot would be in my pack. It's not quick to get to. That's only for if I can't get any closer. I'm out of cover. I can't get any closer to the animal, so I need it. With the single shots, a lot of times I'll pack a small bag. This will do, or a little bit bigger bag, excuse me. This will do almost everything in the field. This is a cross tack. It's foam filled, like styrofoam pellets. They do compress over time. You gotta be able to refill them. But I'm just using it in the field. It's got a zipper pouch here where you can unzip it and fill it. This will sit on a log, rocks, whatever. It gives me about bipod height. And then my XP weighs right around 5 pounds all set up. So I don't overly complicate that. Hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully this showed you some gear ideas in the field. And obviously this isn't including everything. I still have all my other stuff in my pack. The other items in my pack are normally just my stuff to survive. My warming layers, my waterproofing gear, that kind, my kill kit for when I get an animal down, food, water, that stuff. This is the entirety of my shooting system. With the exception of one thing, I always have a glassing tripod. This is right around 1 pound. It's a carbon fiber tripod that I got at Shields. I don't even know what brand that is because it's spray painted. I spray painted this thing camo. It was only like a sub $200 tripod. It does great. And I can use this to shoot off of. I can use this for glassing. Got a lot of uses. So that's always in my pack. But that pretty much covers all my shooting gear. So now we're going to go over my method of field shooting. All right. My method of field shooting primarily utilizes one small square bag, all right? Besides all my basic shooting, which is freehand, kneeling, whatever, all the unsupported methods, in my supported style, I utilize one small bag. And we're going to demonstrate this here in a really simple approach because I'm not outside with the rocks and logs. We're going to use a tripod here in a second. But this bag can be rested on anything, and I can gain support. I can rest this on a rock, a log, whatever else. And then my firearm, it doesn't have to have Hogue big butt grips on it. They make it a little easier, but it could be a Bisley grip, or a plow handle, it could be whatever. I'm going to rest this butt on here. And what this is going to do is it's going to pad the gun from whatever hard surface I'm resting on. And it's going to allow it to track and recoil. The key to this whole thing is when I'm resting that gun, I'm not pushing down. I'm just letting the weight of the gun barely sit on there. And actually, I'm still supporting most of the weight with my arms. It's just literally stabilizing the gun. I mean, a toothpick would be able to hold that gun up there. Half the thickness of a toothpick would do so. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reposition a tripod so you can see me set up and show this method. It's very simple. There's another video I got out there from years ago that goes more in depth of how this method is used. And this will be the in brief version. All right, so here I am here set up with a tripod. And say this tripod is just, it's what we have to use for a rest inside. This could be a log, a rock, whatever that I need to rest on, a crook of a tree. And this would be my same tripod I'm packing in the woods with me. So if I'm in the, say in the prairie and I have nothing else to rest on, this will work. So I've got my little bag that I carry on my chest rig all the time. Literally take that out and set it right on top. That's it, I gotta rest now. And now I feel confident shooting the 200 yards this way. Depending on my cartridge and all that stuff in the game I'm after, but I feel confident that I can make 8-inch hits on 8-inch plates at 200 yards using this rest here. I'd have it set up a little lower, hopefully so I'm sitting down on my heels. But for here, this will do for demonstration purposes. So once again, I'm supporting the gun. This gun is barely resting on this bag. All right, I make my same grip that I always do when I'm shooting. So my grip when I'm standing, kneeling, prone, whatever, is always the same pressure. I'm not changing anything. If I loosen my grip or relax, which the bog gear PSR rest would subconsciously make me do, that gun's going to recoil different, thus changing my vertical zero. All right, it's going to make my either rise or fall more based on how this gun wiggles and recoil. All right, because when you pull this trigger, it goes bang. This gun's already recoiling up while that bullet's still in the bore. So all this follow through, this and what your grip controls, has to be the same the whole time. So I'm going to have my nice even grip the same way I always do. Same trigger pull, same trigger press, same sight alignment, same picture. And my zero is going to remain the same because I'm barely touching this bag. If I started bearing down into this thing and pushing in, now I'm going to change that follow through, and I'm going to change the way this gun shoots, and I'm going to change my zero. So that pressure needs to remain about the same all the way around. So I'm just barely touching that bag. I mean, it's barely pushing down into there, but it's just enough to take my wobble out. I'm not trying to lock it in, I'm just trying to take the wobble out. And doing so will make it to where I can be a whole lot more accurate. So by just putting that minimal amount of pressure down on the bag, like that, not changing my zero, now no matter what position I'm in, my zero is always the same. So once again, to recap, we use our same two-handed grip that we're always going to use. Back in the early days with the PSR rest, we were all resting our gun and squeezing the bag. We have videos out there showing that way back when, way back on YouTube somewhere. Squeezing the bag. Well, this is completely different than my freehand zero. I'm only holding it in one hand, I'm not going to have the same pressure on it. But hold the same grip, the same pressure, rest this on whatever you need to. This will pad the gun from the hard surface. You'll be amazed at the accuracy you can gain there in the field. Gotta get our shameless plug for Spore Revolver. This thing's amazed me. And then, as always, Ultra Dot is your top red dot out there. It's not a projected dot, so it doesn't have any issues in the sun. You know, gotta sneak them in there somewhere. All right, so let's talk about my method of practice. A little backstory to it all. 20 plus years ago when I started out handgun hunting, I was hunting the oak flats and the swamps back east on the East Coast there. 40, 50 yards is a long ways. And in the beginning, I struggled with that. As I progressed in the handgun hunting over the years, and my business developed, and watching other people shoot and stuff, what I learned is you can't buy yourself in the success in the field. You can't spend enough money on equipment to make up for your lack of marksmanship. That's the biggest point I can put out there. You cannot buy some particular gun that's going to make you that much better. It's just not going to happen. You have to burn the rounds on the range. You have to spend the time dry firing and so forth. So to start it all off, I like to start with dry fire. Dry fire is simple. Find somewhere in your house, a hallway, whatever, 10 to 15 feet. Put a reasonable scale target up there. It can be a little sticker. It can be an actual animal silhouette if you want, whatever. And just focus on the trigger pull and the brake, not anticipating it. And then watch where those sights move during that whole process. And hold it steady for a second or so after the shot. Get that follow through beating into your head, because that follow through is just as important as what happens before the shot. That follow through is what's going on during the recoil. So you got to maintain that same grip pressure, same sight alignment, sight picture as long as you can until that gun recoils up. And you want it all to be exactly the same each time. So after dry fire, rimfire is great. Rimfire is the next best way to improve your accuracy in the field. Rimfire has a lot of dwell time in the bore. That's the time from the trigger break to the bullet leaves the bore. There's a lot more time in that follow-through section, and it's going to show up on target out there really quickly. when you're messing up and follow through with a rimfire. I like to keep it short. With rimfire, I can shoot more than I can with a Magnum gun, somewhere around 100 to 200 rounds, and I'm done. I'm to the point where I'm not focusing anymore. Once again, we're focused on extreme precision, kind of like bullseye shooting. We're trying to shoot as accurate as we can, not as fast as we can. You can't miss fast enough to get hits down the line. All right. So after that, after I've done some dry fire, I've done some rimfire, I like to do my actual hunting handgun practice. And this is what I like to keep short. Somewhere between 12 and 25 rounds is enough. I'm going to be hyper focused on everything while I'm shooting these. All right. And after zeroing, I generally don't go back to paper, and I don't worry about groups after zeroing and load development. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work on realistic size vital zone targets. And here's a simple one that you can go get if you got a range you can only shoot paper on. Paper plate works. If you can shoot steel, it's awesome because you get the instant feedback if I hit it because you get a ding. But the paper plate, or a shoot and see, about 8 inches to 10 inches in size, replicates most North American big game vital zones. If you hit that plate, paper plate, steel plate, shoot and see, whatever, that's a dead animal. Stop worrying about the groups. I don't care if you hit it one here, and one here, you've done made 3 kill shots. All right, it doesn't matter where you hit this thing, it's a hit on an animal in the vitals. So when you get out there and you're practicing in the field, doing those 12 to 25 rounds of practice, under as close to field conditions as you can get, just like we do at Handgun Hunters competition, just worry about hits. Don't worry about the group. Groups stop after the bench press type shooting. That's when you're worried about your zero and your load development. Move on away from that and just focus on hits, and that's all I focus on. Literally, I probably shoot 12 rounds at paper a year out of each gun, maybe a little more, a little less, getting my load straight, get my zero, and then I won't hang a paper target after that at all. It's all steel. If I'm hitting steel, I'm killing animals. That's all I need to do. I hope you found this video informative. I hope to help answer those common questions that I've been getting for years. Because normally if there's one person that asks a question, there's a dozen more that want to. They don't ask it. And hopefully this helps you out. If you have questions, you can always email me at handgunhuntingafield@gmail.com, and I'll respond back to you. I can send you other videos and blogs. I can help you any way I can. Hopefully at some point you'll find your way out to Handgun Hunters competition where you'll get to practice all this stuff in the field. You'll get to practice all these methods of field shooting, meet like-minded individuals, and become a better handgun hunter at the end of the event. So I hope all you guys have a good hunting season this year. Look forward to seeing your hunting posts this year when seeing all the game you're taking, and I look forward to sharing mine with you.